Hello and welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. It's Tuesday, the 8th day in July. I'm Adrian Atkinson, your host. As schools take a break for the summer, we encourage parents and children to make the most of this time. Whether you take up reading, explore new hobbies, spend quality time together, or learn a new skill, whatever you choose to do, make it meaningful and memorable. And with that said, we have much lined up just for you, including highlights from the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development's plans for the fiscal year. Stay with us.
The past has shaped us, but the future, it's powered by connection. For 20 years, the Universal Service Fund has been bridging the digital divide, with over 400 public Wi-Fi hotspots lighting up verandas, homes, and hopes. From classrooms to communities, USF powers access to opportunity, helping youth dream bigger, learn smarter, earn online, and helping families stay close, even from far away. One mission, 2 decades, thousands of lives transformed. Connected at 20, committed for a lifetime. The Universal Service Fund, connecting you to more.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, July 8, 2025. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has raised concerns that the partial suspension of the Caribbean Basin Initiative, CBI, could have severe consequences for the region's agricultural sector. In April, U.S. President Donald Trump announced a 10% baseline tariff on all imports into the United States, a move that has triggered economic uncertainty across the Caribbean. Speaking on Monday at the External Trade Negotiation Breakfast meeting, Dr. Holness, who also serves as chairman of CARICOM, said member states were actively assessing the potential impact of the policy shift.
Based on these studies that have been done so far, indications are that the regional agricultural sector will be significantly affected by the suspension of the CBI preferences, with agricultural and agro-processed exports such as sugar, rum, seafood, root crops, and sauces being the most affected.
Meanwhile, the chair of CARICOM says the community will continue its advocacy of international partners to ensure that outcomes agreed at the 4th Conference on Financing for Development are acted upon. The Sevilla Commitment was adopted recently, broadening areas for financing the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Dr. Holness says chief among these are the actions needed to close the $4 trillion SDG financing gap and advancing a multilateral ecosystem that is equitable and effective.
Importantly, the conference secured reaffirmation of the special circumstances of small island developing states and the Abbas agenda. Jamaica will continue to use our co-chairmanship of the UN Secretary General's SDG Stimulus Group and the Group of Friends of SDG Financing at the UN for advocacy to ensure that the commitments made are not mere words on paper, but translate into tangible outcomes for the benefit of future generations of the citizens of CARICOM.
Under the Sevilla Platform for Action, over 130 initiatives across different areas were launched for implementation, including climate finance, debt management, tax reform, and trade. The aim is to increase coordination among stakeholders and accelerate progress on development financing challenges. Outgoing chair of CARICOM and Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, is urging member states to take bold actions and measures that will result in self-financing of the region. Prime Minister Mottley was addressing the CARICOM Heads of Government opening ceremony on Sunday. She suggests using some of the excess regional liquidity that exists and partnering with countries or institutions that can help to put the necessary guarantees in place for the region to start financing its own development. Prime Minister Motley's statement comes against the background of member states' inability to find an appropriate mechanism to finance the CARICOM Development Fund. She asserts that even with the input from all members, it is still not enough to finance disadvantaged countries, sectors and the region, which is a consequence of the single market economy.
There are only 2 countries in the region who provide interest rates in excess of 5% for savings. The majority of CARICOM countries have interest rates that are below 3%, and therefore we are in a position to be able to offer the opportunity for the participation of CARICOM bonds to our citizens at rates of return that are competitive with private commercial banks, but are still lower than the lending being offered to many countries on the international capital markets.
The outgoing chair indicates that a lot has been done over the last 6 months to advance a regional debt swap initiative. This is being led by the World Bank, the Inter-American Development Bank, the Development Bank of Latin America and the Caribbean, and the Caribbean Development Bank. Prime Minister Motley says 2 debt swaps have so far been done by Barbados for nature and climate.
And we look forward to other countries in the region joining us, such that this Caribbean Community region will lead the world in having the first regional debt swap initiative globally.
Ahead of today's wrapping up of the CARICOM conference and with the stakes high for the region's economic future, regional leaders are doubling down on unity as their greatest tool for survival in a rapidly changing world. Katie Lloyd-Knight has more on that.
Following a full day of tough trade negotiations, the leaders gathered yesterday at the Half Moon Hotel in Montego Bay for a luncheon hosted by Prime Minister and the CARICOM chair, Dr. Andrew Holness. Youth unemployment emerged as a key concern, with Trinidad and Tobago in talks to send surplus doctors to Guyana, where there is a shortage of medical professionals. Leaders also explored ways to boost access to affordable medicines, including tapping into India's pharmaceutical industry to reduce dependency on foreign drug supplies.
Indian drug supplies throughout the world have found their space now. They are just as good and as effective as drugs coming out from Europe. And it is to see how best as a Caribbean community we could tap into a country like India.
Security topped the agenda, with leaders urging stronger regional action against gun violence. Bahamian Prime Minister Philip Davis called for a war on guns, highlighting the steady flow of illegal firearms from U.S. gun shops into the Caribbean and urging U.S. corporations to stop the trafficking.
The time for the United States to step up to assist us in ensuring that their right to bear arms does not translate into the right to traffic in arms, which is 2 different things. And that is the message that we've been carrying to the United States.
Discussions are ongoing among CARICOM members centered on strengthening trade relations, creating more opportunities for young people, and facilitating the transfer of medical professionals to countries in need.
In other news, grassroots businesses across the island have generated more than 100 million in sales over the past 5 years, due in large part to the support from the Social Development Commission, SDC's Local Economic Development Support Program. Director of Local Economic Development at the SDC, Avril Ranger, says the earnings came from over 400 activities.
So the SDC has a whole slew of activities that we produce called economic villages, and also we participate in quite a number of business opportunity events which provide a platform for our LEIs to market, promote farm sales, network amongst themselves, as well as giving them a platform for them to get feedback from participants how they can improve their products.
Ms. Ranger was speaking at a recent JIS think tank. The SDC's Local Economic Development Support Program provides a range of assistance, including training, grants, and access to markets to help these entities thrive. The goal is to foster inclusive growth and build resilient, community-based economies. And finally, the Coconut Industry Board, CIB, is reporting a 75% decline in the spread of lethal yellowing disease, which once threatened coconut trees across Jamaica. Lethal yellowing is a plant disease that attacks the vascular system of coconut trees, killing them from the inside out. The CIB's Director of Research and Development, Dr. Wayne Myrie, gave an update on the board's interventions during a recent GIS think tank session.
At the board, we have asked our research team, we formulate a team to cut down, help farmers remove the trees, and to engage in a replanting exercise, which is largely fairly successful.
Despite the gains, the industry is now facing a new challenge, bud rot, caused by a water mold pathogen known as myathesis. The disease attacks the growing point of the tree and can be fatal if not treated early.
We have been doing a lot of work with that disease as well. We know that certain fungicide can cause some reduction or reduction in the spread of the disease. However, we went further ahead. So what we have done is to look at other chemicals that have a more environmental friendly impact. And we are successful in identifying one such that we can now give to farmers.
According to the CIB, the coconut sector remains resilient, with approximately 4 million coconut trees in production and an estimated 127 million nuts harvested annually. With growing demand for coconut water and related products, Dr. Myrie is encouraging farmers to diversify their crops to better withstand market and environmental risks. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for staying with us right here on Jamaica Magazine. What strategies are planned to improve public services, advance infrastructure development and enhance community living across Jamaica? The Ministry of Local Government and Community Development's plan is laid out next.
The system of local government has been a major contributor to this new and improved Jamaica. We are committed to make life even better for every Jamaican. The government made a commitment to improve our people's lives. We have been keeping the promise by doing many things.
In staying true to the promise of improved circumstances for Jamaicans, several initiatives are being carried out across Jamaica for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. Among them, the construction of strong, modern, and affordable indigent housing.
We'll be spending $500 million in building 45 brand new concrete indigent housing in St. Thomas, St. James, Clarendon, Portland, and St. Ann.
Public spaces will also benefit from increased safety features, with 22,800 street lights to be installed across the country over the next 2 years.
There are 228 municipal divisions in Jamaica. Each of them will get 50 street lights installed each year. And members of parliament and the average Jamaicans can make application for light.
Youth empowerment remains a priority, and 2 programs are driving the ministry's engagement in this area. The Youth Summer Employment Program YSEP returns, and this year participants' stipend increases to $17,000 per week, up from $15,000. 10,000 young people aged 17 to 25 years will engage in 4 weeks of impactful social welfare services, gaining hands-on work experience within the ministry, its agencies, and municipal corporations, along with other government ministries and agencies. At the same time, the Social Development Commission (SDC) is scaling up its local economic development support program, targeting 150,000 new entrepreneurs for training and certification over the next 2 years.
They have to go to training. They have to give a report. While 1 and 2 might fall by the way, Madam Speaker, but more than 85% of those who have got the benefit is still in business, Madam Speaker. And that is why we are expanding the program to bring more young business people in our communities on the road of prosperity, to make them understand that they choose us as the government and we choose to provide the resources to make them better, Madam Speaker.
The nation's most vulnerable are not left behind. For the first time in history, psychiatric nurses and dietitians will be stationed at every infirmary and Golden Age home across the island. 3 new ambulances, being procured at a cost of over $63 million, will go to the Vineyard Town Golden Age home, as well as the St. Thomas and St. Anne infirmaries.
$60 million will be provided this year to construct a new male ward at the St. Catherine Infirmary. The efforts continue. A night shelter, Madam Speaker, to accommodate over 20 homeless people in St. Thomas. We're expanding on the drop-in center to take in 20 more. The transitional center in Kingston will be ready in 1 month's time to take an additional 100 people off the streets of the carpet here. This year, Madam Speaker, the allocation for the care of the outdoor will move, Madam Speaker, from 150 million. This year, Madam Speaker, we are budgeting to increase the allocations for poor relief to $250 million.
An additional $20 million will also be provided to improve the educational standard for children of the less fortunate. Jamaica's markets are also receiving attention, with Buff Bay set for $48 million in upgrades, Santa Cruz for $25 million, and Yallas for $20 million in renovations.
I'm pleased to announce, Madam Speaker, that we will be suspending market fees for the use of the Yallas market for the rest of the year. So, Madam Speaker, we will do all that is necessary to improve our markets.
To bolster emergency response, the Jamaica Fire Brigade is to receive 5 new ambulances. Meanwhile, ODPEM is expanding its communication capacity via satellite-based systems like Starlinks. All emergency shelters were made ready before the start of the hurricane season. Additional efforts were also highlighted to improve Jamaica's disaster readiness.
A committee headed by the former Commissioner of Police, now Ambassador to the United States, Major General Anthony Anderson, head a committee, Madam Speaker, which look into our state of disaster readiness. That report has been presented to the Cabinet, and the important key recommendations that has been made by the committee, several of those recommendations is presently being implemented.
For May and June, municipal corporations were advised to use their parochial revenue funds (PRF) allocations for drain cleaning mitigation across the country. From building homes to sheltering the poor and homeless in other ways, upgrading markets, providing jobs, lighting up our streets, and preparing for natural disasters, the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development is focused on progress and prosperity for all.
We reaffirm that we choose Jamaica. Yes. And we stand ready to continue serving the people of Jamaica.
Building confidence and learning daily tasks. Adjustment to blindness officers make a real difference in the lives of persons with vision loss. We have an inspiring example next.
Mr. Thompson,
yes.
Good morning again.
Good morning.
So today I'll be talking a little bit about safety, because as you know, we'll be preparing a meal.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be doing breakfast.
Yes.
So can you come a little closer, please?
Adjustment to blindness officers like Sharon Wallace play a vital role in helping individuals gain independence. They teach essential life skills, provide emotional support, and help clients adapt to their new reality.
For breakfast today, we had boiled eggs, toasted bread, tomato, and lettuce. I oriented him to the kitchen sink, the table, and basically to know where the other things are that he was to use today, all right? He was oriented to the stove, basically to know where the burners are in relation to the knobs. Before you start cooking, we want to ensure just a little bit of safety here. Yeah. And one of the things we're going to look for, suppose you enter the kitchen and you smell gas. One of the things you want to do first, right, is to open the window to let out the fumes. Yeah. All right? The next thing you want to do is, after you've opened the window to let out the fumes, you want to check the knobs to ensure that all the knobs are off, all right? Yeah. Supposing that they're all off, then the next thing you would want to do is to check the cylinder to ensure that it is not leaking, all right? Possibly it's the cylinder which is leaking, right? Yeah. So after checking and notice that it is leaking, what you want to do is to contact the supplier. All right, yeah. Or at least turn off the valve. Yeah. Okay, yes. And at no time strike any match or use your stove lighter. True. Until they come and replace the cylinder. Yes. If, for example, you are not able to do that, to turn it off, you have a next door neighbor, you can ask him to do that. Before start using the stove, you may want to place your hand over the burners, right? Yeah. Check from left to right or right to left, like this, flat. Keep your hands flat all the way. You know what you're checking for? You want to ensure that there is no flammable material on the stove. So you don't want anything that is plastic, you don't want any cloth or anything. Okay. Guess what? Also you want to check, also while you're doing that, if the stove is clean. Before we prepared, in preparation for the egg, what we did was to catch water into the pot. And we identified, in terms of cups, how many cups could cover those eggs. So you want to ensure that the eggs are covered, right? We boiled 2 eggs. And Mr. Thompson used Alexa to, basically set a timer with Alexa by speaking, using his voice to speak to Alexa. Okay, Mr. Yes. Thompson, so we are ready to place the pot over the burner. Well, let's go. Yeah. All right, so don't lean it. So let's get to the first burner here. Yeah. All right, you want to ensure that the handles are from left to right, because this is a really tiny pot, right? To ensure that it seats securely and firmly over the burner, not too much to the front or the back or the side. You want to open your hands like this, all right? Bring it over to Then you do the same for the back and the front. All right? And that's perfect. All right? Now you realize that it's not too much to the front and it's not too much to the back. In lighting the stove, one of the things that he had to learn was to ensure that the lighter is touching the burner. So let's go. Let's try, turn it on and light. So you want to insert, look at this insertion point here. It could be anywhere, right? But as it touches the burner. All right? Let's go. Turn and light. 5 seconds. If you don't get it, turn it off and start again. Let's go. You're going to touch the burner, right? Touch it. Good. All right?
Okay.
So now we're going to wait for the egg to boil.
So I'm going to set the timer for the eggs.
All right, so you're going to set the timer. Let's go.
Alexa, set alarm for 6 minutes.
Good morning, Eric. 6-minute alarm set for 11:33 a.m.
The egg was removed from the stove into a pot with cold water and allowed to cool a little bit. What we did was to remove it and use a technique called roll, tap and roll. We washed the vegetable, which was the lettuce and the tomatoes. While at the table, he was taught how to hold the lettuce, hold the tomato upright in his hand, cut it in 4 weeks, pull it down, and go all the way down. All right? The officer actually places her hand over his hand or allow him to place his hand over hers, just so that the person can get a feel of what is to be done on the correct way. Good.
Now it's time to toast the bread. Dice the eggs. And eat. Through guidance and practice, those adjusting to blindness can lead fulfilling, independent lives.
I feel good and excited. I enjoyed everything that I've done. And it's just since I got blind, I don't do that by myself, but I normally used to make breakfast for the grandchildren and my son, everybody. As long as you live, you have to learn and don't give up hopes on anything.
Mr. Thompson,
yes.
You did very well today, and I'm so proud of you.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, so just so you know, persons who are blind or vision impaired, it's not the end of the world. If you are having challenges, please contact us at Jamaica Society for the Blind for training, because with training, you can move mountains.
Visit the Jamaica Society for the Blind at 111.5 Old Hope Road, Kingston 6. You may also call the office at 876-927-6757 or 876-927-6759 or email info@JamaicaSocietyForTheBlind.com.
As we close off today's edition of Jamaica Magazine, remember to always believe in yourself, even when no one else does. Do join us again tomorrow for another informative show. In the meantime, visit our website, jis.gov.jm. For more news you can use. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Stay safe.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.